All right, for notes today, we are going to be in our journal. See in Google Classroom under the material post description to see exactly what page you should be writing in. But we are going to be designing a concept web. And a concept web is when you take a specific topic, you write it in the middle of your page, and then you have kind of like a spider web design that talks about specific details to that concept. So our topic is going to be angles. So you're going to write that nice and big in the middle of the page. There we go. And we're going to be talking specifically about classifying angles. So we have four types of classifications. One is acute. And an acute angle is an angle that measures less than 90 degrees. And they look like that because that is smaller than 90 degrees. Then we also have an obtuse angle. And an obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees. And they look like that. We also have what's called a straight angle. And that measures exactly 180 degrees. It can be either a horizontal line or it could also be a vertical line. But it is a straight line. It could also be a diagonal line as well. And then our last one is going to be a right angle. And a right angle measures exactly 90 degrees. And that's what they look like. And they always have a little box like that to indicate that that is a right angle or it measures exactly 90 degrees. Okay, so that are all the types of angle classifications that we're going to be talking about. Now, I don't want you to flip the page, but I want you to write on the page next to what you just created. And we are going to talk about not different types of angles, but ways to describe angles. So we have a couple of words, and we're going to write this on the other page. And they are called vertical angles. And vertical angles are angles that are straight across from each other. So the exact definition are opposites angles formed by the intersection of two lines. Now, the way that I describe vertical angles are called eye partner. Because vertical angles look straight across from you, just like your eye partner would. So if we have two lines that intersect, like this, angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles because they form straight across from each other. So they look at each other. And then angle 2 and angle 4 are also vertical angles because they look straight across from each other. They're eye partners. Vertical angles have a special relationship because they are congruent. Now, what does congruent mean? Congruent means equal. So angle 1 and angle 3 are equal to each other, and angle 2 and angle 4 are equal to each other. Okay? Then the other type of angles that we're going to talk about are called adjacent. And you're on that same page. Adjacent angles share a common vertex, a common side, and do not overlap. And I call adjacent angles buddy angles. Because you always want to sit directly next to your buddy, and that's what adjacent angles are, is they're angles that are right next to each other. So, if I have two lines that intersect like this point right here is called the vertex because that's where the lines meet and form angles. And we have angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles because they share a common vertex and a common side, but they do not overlap one another. And they're right next to each other, so they're buddy angles. Angle 3 and angle 4 are also adjacent angles because they again share a common vertex and a common side, and they do not overlap each other. They're buddy angles. They're right next to each other. However, angle 2 and angle 3 are also adjacent angles because they are right next to each other and they share a common vertex and side. And also, angle 1 and angle 4 are adjacent angles because they share a common vertex and a common side. So again, adjacent are buddy angles. They're right next to each other. They don't specifically have a specific relationship. Adjacent angles aren't necessarily congruent to one another, but it's just good to know that they are angles that are right next to each other.